Well, hello there. It has been a couple weeks since I have had a stamp class, but I'm glad to be here today. I've been on vacation, been traveling around the state here in Idaho, checking out the beauty with my family, and even attending a college graduation. My nephew just graduated from BYU, Idaho. So we've been having fun, but alas, the fun is over, and now we're back to a different kind of fun, stampin' fun. So hello, Kat. So happy to have you. Yes, good morning. And so now we can officially begin since we have a couple viewers on. So I will start with good Thursday morning and welcome to Seeing Ink Spots. My name's Elizabeth Price. And today's class is called Upstyle Your Paper Pumpkin, and I'm featuring the July Painted Petals kit. Now, this was a tricky one to upstyle because it was so perfect the way it was designed. So we're gonna do some things, but man, what a beautiful, beautiful kit. And bummer, it is sold out. It sold out really fast, the refills did, but maybe, just maybe, Stampin' Up! Will bring it back. I'm not saying anything, but I have seen them bring back a paper pumpkin kit or two. So this, if everybody in their surveys later on says, yes, this was their favorite, maybe they will. We don't know. All right, so let's begin with a little bit of business. So this is my Facebook business page where you can find my paper pumpkin classes. Did you know that on the other 3 Thursdays of the month, I have 3 more classes, and they're in my Seeing Ink Spots VIP page, and that's called the Backstage Pass. You can become a holder. It's really easy. All you have to do is join one of my monthly classes. I have 1 class a month at the end of the month that is a paid for class, or you can earn it with a purchase on in my Stampin' Up! Store on a current host code. So there's different ways you can get it, but get it because it'll get you 3 years worth of classes, all the back classes that I've had in there since, actually more than 3 years because they started back in 2020. So hello, Kayleen. I'm not quite sure who else is on. I did see Kat say good morning, so it looks like the comments might be working, but sometimes they slow down and I don't always get all of them. But anyhow, so become a past member and have some fun with us the rest of the month. It's really easy to do. In fact, if you like this video, if you share this video and follow my page, do those 3 things and let me know in the comments, just say done. Then I will enter you into a drawing and a drawing for the prize, but I'll enter you into the Backstage Pass just because I'm that nice. Okay, so that's it. Let's get on with the show and let's do what we're here to do, and that is to stamp. Here comes the hand. I say it every time. So that's right. Here comes the hand, and good Thursday morning. That's kind of the, what we say every time. And this stupid little button to reverse is right where the clamp is for the camera. And so it's hard to hit that button. Okay, let's see if we can get a good balance here. Just takes me a second to kind of dial this in, yada, 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 Hold on. I want to get it just a little bit more straight and less keystoning. Okay, I think that's going to be it for today. So yes, today's class is Upstyle Your Painted Petals. Upstyle Your Paper Pumpkin Painted Petals. All right. She's a little goofy. Sorry, folks. Next week, in the Backstage Pass, remember you too can become a VIP Backstage Pass holder by signing up for a class. Next week's class is going to be the Wildly Flowering Sweet Collection. So some of you have earned a Use It Up kit that was sent to you last month. In our Mediterranean Blooms kit. So that's where you got that one. And this is really going to be pretty, folks. Here are the stamps and dies for this sweet collection. Plus I'll be using the papers and the embossing folder and the gems. But you can use whatever you guys have on hand. It's going to be a really pretty class. Also bring out the metallic enamel effects because I love mixing those colors with this Sweet Collection designer series paper. It turns out really, really pretty. So join me for that for sure. And the week after that, our pickup class. So a pickup class it's the class in between two classes that have kits. So Use It Up has a kit, Technique Time has a kit. This is the class that's in between, and you bring your own supplies. You don't have to use what I'm using, but just grab a bundle and some DSP and matching ink and cardstock and create along with me. So on the 22nd of August, that's when that class will be, I'm going to be pulling out these cute little critters to make some sweet summery cards. And I believe I'm using the In Colors and Unbounded Beauty for this class. So that's what I'm going to be doing on that one. So that will be on the 22nd. And then our biggest class of the month is going to be the Changing Leaves Hybrid Bundle. Now, what is a bummer is this class is already planned. I know many of us already have the stamps and dies, but right now it is on back order. But this class is August 29th. They come back into stock around the 2nd of September. So you can still watch and do everything and get your kit and then order on the 2nd of September and just bring, once you've got that kit, you can start making your projects. I'm sorry, once you have your bundle, you can start making your projects because you will already have a kit. So it's going to be a fun class. This is going to be a technique class filled with inking ideas. So different ways of inking up images, different ways of just, coming up with different blends of ink colors. And then, of course, we will have some glimmer and shimmer in it as well. So it's going to be a very pretty class. I hope you guys will sign up for that one. If you sign up for that one, that gets you into the backstage pass. Get you that VIP holder. All right. Coming up in September, I just want to put put it out there that I'm going to be using the Sophisticated Sled for my September Technique Time stamp class. So this will be the biggest class of the month in September. It will be Sophisticated Sled. Kat says she's looking forward to the Changing Leaves class. I'm so glad you are. It's going to be really pretty. I think you're going to have a good time, Kat. So, okay. So tell me if you're interested in this one. I just think this is so charming. And there are a lot of possibilities with this one. Because you've got different things that can become the focal image for different projects. So that's what it's going to be. Hello, Barbara. It's good to have you here. Always good to have you here. All right, so that's the business. We're done. Now we get to have some fun. We're going to stamp. All right, this first project I'm going to do is going to be a pretty basic project. I always like to start this class out with getting my feet wet with elements from the kit. Now, I mentioned before, these cards are beauties. They don't really need much change to them. In fact, they're beautiful the way they are. But I am going to make just a little bit of a change to this first card. And let me show you what we're going to do. So it's pretty much going to be the exact same, but we're just going to make a couple changes. And the first one is I'm going to cut along the petal line here. I just can't tell if I need to be up or down. I think I need to be down for a little bit longer. Down meaning underneath, bringing my blade up from underneath. So I'm just trimming around this petal, and you want to keep the frame intact. So that's why I couldn't just come in and chop it apart. I'm keeping it intact, except for right here. So I'm cutting this petal out. Okay, so that loosened that. And now, let's see. If I cut too many of these, it's going to end up coming apart, but that's okay. We'll glue it back in place. But just make sure you're making just one cut. Don't cut it apart, if you know what I mean. Okay, I'm going to come in here. Now this one does end up cutting. Oh, it did stay intact. Okay, good. Sometimes I'm like, uh-oh, is it going to cut apart? Okay, so that does kind of make it escape a little bit. Now let's come around this petal. Now it's kind of hard. Usually when you fussy cut, you turn your paper, not your scissor. But in this case, I kind of have to rotate my blade because we're in such tight quarters there. Okay, there's that one. And now when I clip this one, it is going to cut it apart. See what you mean? Right there, but that's okay. We're going to just keep it intact. And let's see, I'm not going to do, well, I can do it, but it's going to be another one we're going to have to glue back in place. I think I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to keep it loose, or keep it attached rather. So you just decide. But I'm going to keep all of the leaves intact. Basically what I want to do is to be able to glue, to add dimensionals under the flowers and glue the frame down. So I am actually going to cut this one fully apart. There and there. So we just need to remember where our pieces go. We need to save them. I got a little hanging piece right there. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do. Keep your pieces, keep them handy. And with this piece here, I'm going to be gluing the frame and the leaves down, but I'm going to put dimensionals behind the flowers just to give them, just so we have a couple different types of dimension working here. And wouldn't you know it, my mini dimensionals are just about out. So we're just going to make some of our own little minis here, if you know what I mean. Okay, so we'll take this one because this one's pretty big, and we'll put this right up on here, and we'll put one here. So I'm just adding little minis here, made my own minis. Okay, and I think that should be plenty. And then, like I say, we're going to put glue on the rest, but let's dry fit where we want to place this. The instructions that Stampin' Up! Has given us has the placement kind of over to this side. And they're, you know, that's there, and they've got it so that you can see some of the flowers over here. So I'm going to maintain that because, like I said, I think this kit is gorgeous. All right, so let's start. I will glue these pieces in place after I put the rest of this on. So let's see. Let's take some glue here. And I know I'm going to have to unclog my glue. It's a daily occurrence here. Actually, it's several times a day. So I'm going to put glue on the frame and the leaves down at the bottom. Maybe not the leaves in the midsection. Okay. But we know that that separates. So there's that. And let's start by putting this down. But let me take the backs of the dimensionals off first. Jan, I see you are watching. Jan, it's good to have you here. Where are you from, Jan? Just curious. Okay, so now I'm going to just set this down. We'll glue this part down. Glue the frame down, glue that part of the frame down. And so now it's just kind of cool. I've got a little bit of some unique dimension going here. And it's just a slight alteration to their design, which I think is stunning. Absolutely stunning. So now I'm just going to glue this piece where it would be. Oops, got a little glue action on my card, but that's what adhesive removers are for, right? Okay, there's that. And let's see this other little piece. Here it is, white on white. I've lost it, but it's here. There it is. Put a little glue on the back, and we'll put this one in place. And then we'll add a greeting. Very similar to what they've designed. I'm just going to kind of change the color up a little bit. And I'll show you where we're going to change the color up just a skosh. Let's see here. Let's move this into place. Make it a little more accurate there. There it is. Maybe clean up that glue right there. All right. So I think, I'm not even sure. I guess in their instructions, did they glue the whole thing up or did they dimensional? I'm not entirely sure. I think they glued it down. But anyhow, I like giving it just a little bit of character like that. It's just a little bit different. Okay, gives us a little dimension and, you know, different depths of dimension there. So there's that. And so with this, I'm going to use one of the more Calypso coral colors. I'm going to change the color up just a little bit. They had it with a green background, and we'll add a greeting to it. So let's stamp a greeting. So the color of spot in this kit is gray granite. So I actually have my full-size pad here. And let's see, this greeting that I want to use is the one that says, "So lucky to have you in my life." And I'm going to give it a quick clean. And then Rose Carey says, "Yay, I found you. Thought it was going to be on the Backstage Pass." She is watching from Palmdale, California. So Rose, this is the one class a month that I don't put on the Backstage Pass. Everything else is in the Backstage Pass except for Upstyle Your Paper Pumpkin. This one is on my Facebook page. Okay, I'm going to put this little label over here on my green so that I can see it better than when it was on the white on white. And look at that. Thank you, Stampin' Up, for making this cool shape piece here. Look how pretty that is. Pulling that that gray granite, it's in here. It might not be super obvious, but definitely it's in here in the petals and it's underlying in the leaves. So nice connection of color there. And because I'm kind of a freak, I'm going to add a little bit of linen thread just to kind of make this my own little up style. So I've retooled the elements slightly by just changing them up a little bit. And then I'm adding a little bit of linen thread here. Okay. And I'm going to kind of pull my ends, and I like to hold my fingers on the knot to keep the knot tight, and at the same time to keep things from twisting, to train it. Then I'm going to trim this one end so that they're even. And this is going to be placed kind of right in here, like so. So keeping it pretty simple on our alterations here. So let's glue these two together. There we have that, adding to this nice little, I like this pop of orange. It's not orange, what is it, Calypso Coral? Somewhere in that vicinity. And then let's put some dimensionals on this, obviously. So I'm going to do one on each end because the linen thread is going to kind of go right through the center there. So I'm going to put a glue dot where I want my linen thread, or where I'm thinking it's going to go. Let me just, what I call dry fitting the elements here. I think that's going to be good if I put that right there. Maybe just a skosh that way. So that's where I'm going to put a glue dot right there. And then I will take the knot of my linen thread bow here and just kind of press it right into that glue dot. Okay. And I like to just use, you know, the back end of a tool. This is an old hobby blade that Stampin' Up had. You can get the hobby blade to add to the different take your pick tools. I don't have that one out with me at the moment, but I do use it all the time. What tools do you guys use all the time? Just curious. What is a go-to that you have to have handy? I have to have a hobby blade handy. I use it for, you know, tucking things in and, you know, like you saw me kind of scoop some of that glue away. All right, so there's that. Gotta have to add a little wink to the flowers, right? Because we can. And she's always invited to my stamp parties. Okay, it's just a nice little addition. It just pops those out just a little bit more. I don't think you can see it, but boy, I can sure see it. that little shimmer. And then let's add some of the gems. So they did give us some gems in the kit. Nice to have. Let's actually maybe give a fold to our card here. I do like that it has this green back. I think it's very beautiful. It's a nice touch. I know sometimes we think, well, wait, I don't want to waste that. But it's not wasted. I mean, it gives a nice presence to the back of the card, which you might not always see, but I think it is really nice. So let's just do some gem action here. I think I'm going to do something, I think we'll let's do a couple in here and maybe one over here. So I'm going to hide one over here. You know what? Never mind. I'm going to hide a big one over there. So let's do a small here because we have more larges than we do smalls. So there's a large and a small right in there. There you can see that. And let's do another large and we'll tuck it. I think we'll bring it over here. Just kind of do the same thing and put it on that frame. Kind of a nice repetition and balance. And there you have it, folks. Super pretty. Easy, easy, easy. And it's just kind of getting our feet wet using the elements from this kit and adding just a little bit of linen thread and Wink of Stella. So Kat, you use your pokey tool all the time. So pokey being this end or that kind of pokey. Yeah, I use this one too. However, it's a little, for me, it's a little fatter right there. And I like the flatness of the blade. But yes, I grab this one all the time as well. I'm constantly switching it back and forth from the flat kind of spatula end to the pokey. So pokey tool for Kat. All right, so there is card number 1. Easy, easy, easy. Now we're going to kind of dive into this kit and do our own thing. And so let's see. For this card, let me pull the pieces out that I'm planning to use here. Yeah, So we have some pieces from the kit, and then we have some pieces not from the kit. So looks like we're going to use the flower image again, okay? And one of the die cut around the greeting, and then, yeah, so you see what we're using. Pull those out. And this piece of paper right here, this piece of paper is from the Meandering Gardens Suite collection. It was part of the online collection back in November. And this is the paper. This is the other side of the paper. These are some really, really, really pretty papers. And so I've gravitated to the back sides of these papers for some of my projects today because I felt the colors perfectly fit with the Painted Petals kit. Hello, Mary Hall. Happy that you are here watching for a few minutes. Or the whole time, you pick. So now this piece you recognize, it is a half sheet of crumb cake. And we're just going to keep things real easy here, folks. This is 8.5 by 5.5, and I'm scoring at 4 1/4. Just like so. So this will be my card base. Give this a good burnish. Okay. And now we're going to take our designer series paper here. And you guys, just even that is super pretty because this piece is so pretty itself. But I found that this was equally as pretty. Let me see if I want to do it more colorful. Ooh, I like this corner up in here. I am going to just easily add a lining behind this right here. So easy, easy peasy, right? And so this is, I believe, 2.5 by 3 3/4, this frame. And that's what I'm going off of. Yes, 2.5 by 3 3/4. So I'm going to cut a piece that's going to be 2 3/4 by 4. So I want 2 3/4 by 4. So here's 2 3/4. I most often on a piece of paper will cut the narrow measurement first, as it just saves your paper a little bit. Not always, but most of the time I will cut that narrow measurement first. So save these and throw those in your Painted Petals kit for another project, because I still have lots of leftovers. All right, so this is going to layer onto my piece here, but we have to give it some dimension because that's just what I love, you know, Dimension, Wink of Stella, you name it. Those are the kinds of things that I really, really like. Okay, so I don't know, this is too little to even do anything with, but let's just kind of put some of these little minis here and there. I think I have one stuck on my hand. And I'm going to raise the whole thing on this one. We're not going to do the cutting apart like we did, which I think is kind of a cool look. I like to create, you know, different depths. But this one, we're just going to raise the whole thing. Okay. Now, I even have, these are leftover from another paper pumpkin kit. But you know what? I was going to use them. Are they the same thickness? Sometimes they're a little, because I'm using regular dimensionals here. Yeah, you can see they're just a little bit thicker, but I think it'll be okay. But I like these little strips because they're going to be great for raising up that frame. And I don't really need to raise the frame up. Maybe I'll put just a mini here to raise that side up. And then I'll just do a portion of one right in there. And I think that will hold everything up. So I do not remember what kit those are from. But I hold on to those dimensionals and use them up eventually. All right, I feel like this corner might need a little lift. So we'll give it a little lift. Hello, Rochelle. Glad you are here. It's so fun when lots of people join in and there are comments. You know, some days when Stampin' Up, when Facebook doesn't show the comments, I'm like, I think they're there. But yes. So what summer things have people been doing? I mentioned at the very beginning, we've been traveling. We spent last weekend, or, you know, the later part of last weekend and into the beginning of this week at a small town called McCall here in Idaho. Really a fun little town right on a lake, the Payette Lake. So we did some lake activities and all kinds of other fun things. We were going to go boating, but instead we did some off-roading because it started to pour rain. You just never know. Okay, so there's my layer on the Meandering Meadows paper. Yes, we do, Kayleen. We sell these strips. They're right. They're in that long pack. I had forgotten totally about those. Now, there's a piece of fleck right here in the cardstock, so I'm going to flip to the other side. How's that for craziness? Okay, so I'm going to add my card here. And I think what I'd like to do is just a little bit of stamping on this. All right, I'd like to do some stamping on my card base. And let's see here. You're wondering why I flipped that back, because it's slightly longer on this side. All right, let's do just a little bit of stamping. I'm going to bring in the gray granite ink pad. And let's see here. The floral image in this stamp set. We're going to talk more about this image in just a bit. But for right now, let me give it a quick clean. It's got some ink on it. So I'm just going to do a little bit of stamping because my image is going to kind of come right in here. And so I want to have just a little bit more, and I'll stamp it off the page just a little bit, just like so. And then maybe up in here, just kind of having this element's kind of guiding me as to where I want to put my images. So there's that. And so this will kind of be in here like so. And I could maybe, let's do just a little bit more. I'm going to do a little bit more stamping right there. I'm going to fill this out, and I'm going to fill it out. Let me bring in a piece of scratch paper here. And we're just going to do this. Okay, perfect. And while the scratch paper's out, I'm going to take my gray granite and give it a squeeze. Okay, and my water painter, and I have a jar of just plain water here. So Rochelle is going to the Idaho State Fair. It begins today. It's always a busy time. I'm not sure if you're going. I accidentally said that. But your state fair, you know, our state fair is coming. I'm not quite sure when it's coming, but it's always a fun time as well. So I'm just adding some splatters to my card base here, just to kind of repeat the splatters that are here. Yeah, Iowa. Ours in Idaho is coming up as well. So what types of things do you like to do at the in your Iowa State Fair? What do you guys like to, what events do you like to hit? Or do you just like me, I like to go and see any of the performers, you know, because there's usually some live music. And, you know, you got to have 1 or 2 fair foods a year, right? A bloomin' onion, a corn dog, you know, that sort of thing. So while I'm waiting for my splatters to dry, I'm just going to set this aside. Rose Carey, the funnel cakes, yes, at the state fairs and all the exhibits. I do find it interesting to go through and look at the different, the exhibits are kind of interesting, whether it's, you know, needlepoint, knitting, woodworking. There's so many different ones. They're really quite cool and fun to look at. All right, I am going to continue on with this card. I'm going to use the phrase that says, let's celebrate you. And so that's what I'm going to use for this card. But I need some color so that I can stamp that, because it's a little tricky to do. Let me just bring this. Where's my piece of, hold on, folks. Oops, it just dropped my cleanup pad. This piece. I just wanted this color in here so I can see where this is. I don't know about you guys, but stamping white on white is just tricky. I'm going to continue to use gray granite. And this one's just going to go right in there. Thank you, Stampin' Up, for making these photopolymer clear images so that we can see and get right through to the paper. There's that one. And just like the card before, I'm going to glue this to the you know, what color did we decide that is? Calypso coral? I think it is. Hey, Nick, would you pick that up for me? Had a helper walk in that just retrieved my cleanup pad from the floor. Okay, so this I'm putting on top. No, it doesn't need to be open. Okay, all right, just like so. And let's see if my drops are still not dry. That's a bummer. But this is going to kind of come in here. See, I've got 2 splatters right here, and I don't want to push them because then they don't hold their round shape. And I do like that round shape. So I am going to just kind of continue where they had things kind of right in there. We'll do that. And let's see. I think I might be able to put that down without it being, you know, without interrupting my splatters. Okay. All right, so look how pretty these are when they dry. And I'm going to add this, and I'm going to give myself, I'm eyeballing an even border on the right and on the top. Okay, so there's that. And I will do some more linen thread, just because I can. And you guys, I like to store my linen thread in a sugar shaker, and I have it coming out the top. That way you can just kind of, you know, unwind it right off the spool. Okay. And let's see how even my bow is. It's super uneven. Sometimes I can get it just right, and sometimes it's just way off and it's not even gonna work. And that's one of those that's way off and not gonna work. So sometimes what I'll do also is just kind of do the 2 bunny ears method, and then I can make my bow a little bit more in the middle of my linen thread, if you know what I mean. Okay, so this, just like the other one, I'm gonna put it in the same place as well. So we'll just add a little linen thread there. And we'll add that right in like so. But this time, still waiting for that one to dry. This time, let's see, let's put the gems in a slightly different position. I think I'm gonna put all of these to the inside this time. So 1, 2, we'll hide a small in there. And let's hide a big kind of right in there. And the small we'll hide there. So they're tucked inside the frame this time, just for a slightly different look. Hey, Pam, what is the trick to starting the fall color twines? I can't even find the starting. Okay, so I have those. Those are the natural tones. Yeah, sometimes you just have to kind of pull it up and clip in the middle. Because, yeah, I had a hard time finding the center on mine. I'm with you on that. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do here is let's put, this time I'm going to put a glue dot on the greeting. Let me get the greeting going the right way. Let me get, I have to hold it in place because I can never remember which way it goes once I flip it over. So let's put the glue dot on here because I'm not quite sure where it's going to land on the flowers and the leaves here. So does anybody else have those natural tones of linen threads? And has anybody found a good method for unwinding or at least getting them to start? I hear you. I hear your words. Okay, so this one here, I don't think I do want it in with dimensionals. I'm going to do dimensionals. I couldn't decide if I wanted it up or flat, but we're going to do it up. So I'm going to do a dimensional here, and we'll do one more dimensional, but I'm not going to put it right on the end. I'm going to put it more about right there because the card, we've got some levels going here, and so I want to be sure that I'm hitting right in here. Okay, so here we go. There's our greeting. Super cute. And this time, let's splatter Wink of Stella rather than coloring, just to mix it up. And I'm really aiming the splatters for the crumb cake. And then maybe this time, we'll just do the centers of the flower. And a little more sparkle. All right, there you have it. Super, super pretty, okay? Fun times for sure. All right, so those two are pretty simple, using elements from the kit and a little bit of added DSP. This next one we're going to do is going to be quite a bit different. Let's see what we're going to use for this card. So I have, just to kind of see what we have going here, this is Mossy Meadow, and it's a half a sheet of Mossy Meadow, right? It feels a little shy of a half a sheet, but it is a half a sheet. It looked narrower. I'm going to score it in half. So this is just a basic, half sheet of cardstock. So 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4 along the long edge. There we have that. Easy, easy. And I also have some more of the Meandering Meadows DSP. So this one had, a nice, beautiful pastoral scene. And there's this is the side we're going to use because look how wonderful it looks with this. All right. And then I'm also going to use one of those from the kit, and we'll use one of these. Plus we're going to pick a greeting. Let's see. You know what? We haven't used this one yet. So I think I might use that greeting. We'll see. And I'm also going to be using the Hip Hip Hooray from the ephemera, and it looks like I have one more piece that I want to use. I'm like, hey, wait, I'm missing a piece. Here it is. I also want to use the Here's to You, okay? And so Both of these come from the Saying Something ephemera. And so I actually have a couple packs of Saying Something ephemera right in here. And so I grabbed the Hip Hip Hooray, and then in this mess, there's a Here's to You. The Here's to You is black. The Hip Hip Hooray is Granny Apple Green. And so to me, these colors worked nicely with our kit elements. Let me just go back to a comment here from Rochelle. When your projects are done, I'd love to see how you have arranged supplies around your immediate workspace. You seem to be very organized. Oh, you are so nice. But so Rochelle, I actually have to come to my kitchen counter to do my Facebook Lives because my internet connection is terrible in my stamp room. So I just have minimal supplies out here of what I need. That's why it seems organized. But man, if you go into my stamp room, it's like it's turned upside down. You know, my desk is a mess. Although yesterday I did put, do you guys get whole bunches of stacks of paper from cutting different things? I get stacks and stacks of paper off, and it's usually, I'm kind of pointing over here. I stack them over here, and then it's like, I have to put these away. And it takes me like 10 minutes just to refile them and put them away because there's so much junk in the way, right? Okay, so for this card, this is what we're going to do. So I made a card for PPX, that's the Paper Pumpkin video crew that I do, and I used the pink side of this card. But now I'm going to use this card, the card front, for this card. So, you know, we're kind of using things up. So what I want to start with for this card, because this is going to be key to the card, I'm actually going to turn this upside down because I'm going to tear the edge. And I'm going to use my trimmer here as a straight edge. And so I'm just going to come in here and remove. And I like to tear up against a straight edge because I like the look that it gives you. It gives you that torn edge, yet it's still clean and fairly precise because I have a nice clean straight edge there, okay? So that's what I'm going to start with for this one. And then for my green here, I'm going to do the same thing. And that is, we're going to, and I'll just kind of, I don't need a lot of this. This is just going to line. So we'll rip that one as well. And what's cool about this one is you get a little bit of that white core showing. Okay, so, and I need this one to be 5.5. I don't need it to be 6 because the paper originally came in 6x6 sheets. So I have 5.5 tall by, it doesn't matter how wide. Well, it does matter. You'll see in just a second here, but it's not that big a deal. So this, real easy here, is going to line the side of my card because I just love the play up of all these greens with the melon mambo. I just think it is super, super pretty. So we're going to do something kind of like this. And I can see I need to trim my white just a skosh. So I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to do it, kind of move it down here, but just needed to cut a hairline off of that. Oh, that's much better. So I do want some of that mossy meadow to show. Okay. And we're going to, let's just glue this in place so that we can kind of move along. So I'm going to start, I think I'll actually glue this one to this. Or do I actually want to raise this up? I actually do. I want to raise this up. So never mind. I'm going to glue this one down. Or do I want to raise this one up as well? Nope, we're going to glue it down. Decisions. You know, when you make it a second time, it's like, should I make some alterations? What should I do here? So I'm going to glue this one down here. And I can see my green is too long too. Okay, so let's just clean that up real fast. Whoops, I didn't mean to smack my paper trimmer closed. Okay. Much better. Great tear tip, Kat says. I really do enjoy tearing up against a straight edge. Do you guys remember a long time ago, Stampin' Up! Actually had, it looked like a ruler, but it actually had a decal edge, and you would tear up against that to tear yourself a decal edge. It was really cool. It was cool. Okay, now this piece, what I want to do is I'm going to put this one all up on dimensionals. Okay? So another question for you guys. Have you purchased any of the ephemera? You know, do you have any of the ephemera packs? I pull this out for almost every card. It's like I'm sitting down to make a card and I'm just going to check it and go, do I have anything in here that's going to look good with my card? And lo and behold, I usually find something in the pack that will look good with the kit and be perfect. I mean, not good with the kit, but good with what I'm making at the moment. And I can kind of add to it. It's kind of fun to add that slightly different dimension, or, you know, just kind of, because this is going to give us a different look, a different dimension entirely than just a stamped image. I do like this. Gluing it down would have been fine, but this really is giving it a lot of presence. Liz, do you like all of them or working, or the wording one mostly? You know, I use the wording one mostly, but I do like all of them. I find they're all rather enjoyable to work with. So, okay, now I'm taking a hole punch here and I'm turning my hole punch over so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to do a little half bite right out of the bottom of my card, and I'm going to do the same thing to the top. So hopefully you guys can see that little bite that I took. Oh, there you can see it with the white behind it. So Kat has the ephemera. Do you use it often, Kat, or what do you find you like doing? Okay, so there's a bite out of the top and the bottom, and that's going to be the perfect spot for my linen thread. Let's see here. Let's pull out some linen thread. Oh, goodness gracious. What do I have in here? I have a massive knot. Hold on. I have 2 linen threads that collided and turned into a knot. Okay, so I had to open my sugar shaker. Okay, so this is just going to come around like so. And that just, I like adding the linen thread kind of right along my torn edge. I think it just kind of brings the look together. But the little holes, you know, the punching little hole there, that kind of holds the linen thread in place. It kind of, you know, gives it a spot exactly where I want it to be. Okay, so this is going to tie. And I'm not going to tie that off just yet because I'm not entirely sure where I want it to be in conjunction with the other elements that we're adding to the card. So let me go back. Hello, H.J. Porter is watching. Good to have you here. And so Rose, Carrie, the only ephemera you have is the one you sent in the Country Woods class. However, you just bought all the ephemera in your pre-order for the Winter Mini. I did pick up some of that ephemera in the Winter Mini as well. I think it's really cool. Okay, so this will kind of, we're not going to put it right over top. We could, which is actually nice because it really makes it nice and centered. But I kind of like to be able to see the shadow that it casts. That's going to go in there. And then we'll add our hip, hip, hooray. It's going to kind of come in here. All right. And then we'll have here's to you. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of doing. But I also think what I want to do here is customize this just a little bit. So I'm going to put a little snip in the center. And I'm going to give this a little flag cut here, or a fishtail to each end. I agree, Kayleen. I like the shadows. It looks good. It's fun. It's dimension. Okay, so we're just giving this a little zhuzh, customizing it, making it our own. Okay. This actually comes into play in there as well. So, all right, hip, hip, hooray. Gonna come up just a little bit higher. So I'm gonna offset these, one to the right, one to the left. And then this will come right in here with it, okay? And then we'll add some gems and some wink of Stella. And then this one, let's see, this is the greeting for the one that says, "You're simply the best." And so this, I'm actually going to, let's stamp that. In fact, let's stamp it right now. I'm going to stamp it with the gray granite, because that's close to the basic black here. Stamp it with the gray granite. And this, I think, would be nice for the inside of the card, but I really need like a white piece on the inside. And I don't have any white out with me, but I can put that on later. So, but look at, see just how it's nice. Ooh, I can barely tell what I'm doing. Hope for the best. Kind of tricky, white on white. But hip, hip, hooray, here's to you. And then pulling this to the inside of the card will be a nice greeting for that. Okay, so I'm going to set that to the side. Let's put this all together here, folks. So I am going to put, and it's going to be a little tricky, but I can do it because I have confidence in myself. We're going to put some dimensionals on the flowers here because we're going to raise this up. Let me cut these apart. Well, no, this is good for right here. And let's just cut these apart. We'll go here. And we'll do one here. So I'm just kind of working myself down the flowers here. I think I'll do another one right in and about there. And so let's pull these in from that other. These are almost too fat, but I think that they will work. And I'm going to do just a little bit on the I and the P of the hip, hip, hooray, because that's going to hang over the edge, if you know what I mean. Okay, so this one, okay, that is ready. And I don't want to put it down just yet because I want to have my elements together. So this one will go off to the side. And then when we put the hip, hip, hooray, I'll be able to glue most of it, but it looks like, so the P and the Y are going to need a little assistance. And I might have to, this is, I think, just a little bit narrower. So I'm just going to make my own really skinny strips here of dimensionals. So that's just right off the side. Let me take 3 of these pieces and add them. And we'll have it going. Okay, so for those of you who have popped on, hello and welcome to my Upstyle Your Paper Pumpkin. I am combining this card with a little bit of the Saying Something ephemera that's in the annual catalog. So we were talking about the ephemera just a little bit. And I was mentioning that I actually like to have them out on my stamp table. And I use them, I can't find the sticky side of this dimensional. Hello. Okay, one of these sides is sticky. Anyhow, I like to bring them out because I find that there's usually a greeting or two in there that works perfectly with the color palette that I'm working with. And I found that this Hip Hip Hooray was just the right color because it's Granny Apple Green. I think it looks great with this particular color palette of this Melon Mambo and the Mossy Meadow. Or as Kayleen calls Mossy Meadow, Messimado, which I think is a far more cool name. Messimado. Okay. All right, let's clean up the ship here and let's kind of get a look at where we're going to go exactly. So that one's there. Okay, I think I see where I'm going to put things. Any suggestions as you guys are here? So we have some going to the Iowa State Fair. Kayleen, I know you've been hitting the activities with your grandkids. Anybody else doing anything fun these days? Barbecuing? Oh my goodness, we barbecued some great ribs the other day. And the corn right now in Idaho is so good. Idaho and Utah corn has always been very good. Okay, so this is going to come a little higher and a little over so that we're getting a shadow of the flowers. But I am trying to keep this geometric frame parallel and perpendicular. Jen Millette, she's a little late but happy to come and watch create and watch me create. Well, we're just talking about things we've been doing during the summer months here. Just curious. I will say it is super, super smoky here. It's very gray outside because of all the fires. I think they're predominantly in Washington and Oregon. But wow. In fact, it just went even more gray just in the past few minutes. Sad. Okay, so I'm going to have the hip, hip, hooray. Oops, I kind of need to see how far down this is going. I'm going to do it just a little bit beyond the frame here. But you can see I'm using the leaves to hold up most of that hip, hip, hooray. And then I had to do just a little bit of dimensional work under the A and the P and the Y. And then this is going to come in here and just kind of give that a nice little boost, color boost. And then this one is going to go right. I'm going to put this one on dimensionals as well. But I'm going to glue the pink. I need to give these a snip. Using up all the dimensionals here, folks. I don't know, I feel so accomplished when I use up a sheet of dimensionals and get to bust out a new one. Okay. So we've had one of our guardianship dogs. For those of you who don't know, we do dogs. We raise, we breed mini schnauzers, but we had a family that had one and they just couldn't keep her anymore. So we have another dog back here. Her name is Luna. And she's just tiny. She is teeny, teeny, tiny. I cannot believe how small she is. Itty bitty little thing. But she's quite lovable. You haven't had any energy to craft. What's up, Jen? Okay, and I'm just going to kind of tuck that under the hip, hip, hooray, just for dimension's sake. Cool. I love it. I love the bright colors here. And so now we can kind of tie this off. I think I'm going to balance things by bringing this bow up a little higher. Okay, just kind of center that. Tie that up. You could put a glue dot under there to hold your linen thread in place. Okay, let me go back. It's been in the hundreds for weeks and Rose is hiding in her stamp room. And watching movies. You know, same thing. It has been 107, 105, 107. Yesterday, I think it only got in the mid-90s, which was just a nice relief. But yeah, this hotness is just, I'll be glad when it ends because, yeah, it's pretty saucy. Okay, there's that, my linen thread. Let's add a little bit of our gem action and Wink of Stella and call it done. But look, that's a fun layout. And I'm using up the other half of that card base because I used the back on another card. So I'm just giving a little wink to the flowers. Could even do it to the hip hip hooray, but we'll just kind of splatter the hip hip hooray. Here's to you. And let's see, where did I put those little gems that are right? They were right to my side, but they have disappeared. They have, oh, here they are. They're clear, and so it's kind of hard to see them. They were on top of dimensionals. All right, so let's add a few of these. Let's see what we're gonna do. I think it's pretty, and I thank you for the comment, Kat. I really enjoy this pink and the green. I think what a fun, spunky, summery color palette. It's just cool. Whoops. This one stuck to me instead. We don't want that. And then I think I'll tuck this one right in there. And I just feel like I want to add more. I want to add more of these gems. So there's 1, 2, 3. Maybe we tuck one down in here. And let's do one more. And I'm going to do one more big because we have so many of the big ones. And maybe we'll do a big one. We'll do it up here so that's a little higher. Okay, there. So, fun. Something a little different. But I love how the greeting here adds quite a bit of a graphic look to it. So even though it's a floral, you know, you've got a lot of prettiness going, I like the juxtaposition of the straight graphic look of the greeting. So you're going to be making these cards immediately. That's awesome, Rose. Jolinda trying to walk 10,000 steps a day at the club and swimming. That's what you've been doing, and going to physical therapy. Oh, fun times. Hopefully that shoulder is getting better and better and better. But yes, I think this one's really pretty, folks. I like that one. Let's see what's coming up next here. Okay, we're going to switch gears entirely. Is this the gear? Yeah, this is the card. We're switching gears entirely. Okay, so let's see what I have here. I have some very vanilla, and I also have some watercolor paper. And this is Canson's 100 pound, watercolor paper. And so it's very similar to our Fluid 100. I just have a bunch of this on hand. So I'm going to be using that. So this die cut here, this I've decided to pull out my Countryside Corners dies because it mimics it mimics the kit, right? So that's why I pulled these out. And I have die cut one, and this one measures, let's see, what does it measure across? It measures about 1 7/8 across by 3 3/8. So if you're looking at those, or just cut a rectangle similar in size. So I'm using that. What else am I using for this card? I'm going to be using inks, and I'm going to be using the 2 of the dies in the Every Celebration dies pack. So I'll be using the floral and the leaf. So that's coming up. And we'll be using some stamps. First things first, we're going to stamp. I just hit my camera. That was stupid. We're going to stamp with the Stays On Saddle Brown. And I'm going to stamp the floral image here. And I'm going to stamp 3 of them. But for time's sake, you need 3, but I already have some done. So pretend that I'm stamping 3. I'm only going to stamp 1, okay? Stamp yourself 3 or 4 because, sometimes it's just nice to have a few extras on hand. Okay, so just nice and inking it all up. And we'll get this right in here. Okay, and I am going to let this dry. this image dry and really settle into the fiber of this paper. So I'm just going to give it a rough cut out. Okay, so that's ready to go. And I'm also going to, let's see here. Let's just make a nice clean cut here. And I am going to get myself a little bit of watercolor paper here. Enough that I can cut out 3 or 4 of these leaves, which I'll be able to do plenty. This is a perfect amount, okay? So just enough for 3 or 4. And let's get some paper in here just to get underneath things. All right, so I mentioned, let's just see what else I'm going to use on this card, just if you guys are collecting anything. I'm going to be using a piece of crumb cake. So this is going to be my card base. All right, so this card here doesn't use anything from the kit except for the stamp images. And that's why this is kind of a different approach. And again, I'm taking this approach because the kit was so beautiful the way it was designed. It really, I'm like, where's the room to make alternates? It's so pretty just the way it's been designed. All right, I am going to grab a couple green ink pads here. I have Garden Green and Old Olive. You could use any colors, folks. It doesn't have to be that combination, okay? So I'm going to squeeze the lids to get myself some ink in the lid of both ink pads here. Whoops, I didn't get that one done very well. Ugh, some of them are so much harder. Sometimes you just have to, pounce your block into the ink pad. It's easier. All right, so I'm going to I have a jar of water here, okay? And I have my wide watercolor painter. And I'm going to just paint this piece of paper with water. And so today's technique is going to be, I call it water wicking. But basically what I'm doing is allowing the water on the paper to be the vehicle for moving the ink. See how as I pounce it, because it's wet, the water just moves it all around. We'll add some darker into here. And if it's not moving, you just need to add more water. That's what's kind of fun, is just getting the water to really move and then just letting those puddles kind of travel around. What I'm going to do is now, I think I want more of the Old Olive. So just pounce a little bit more of that in. And we'll just let the water travel around. And I like just making, just make your own colored paper. Tip it back and forth, have some fun. And then sometimes I'll even take my my heat tool and I will kind of chase the water streams, if you know what I mean. I'm going to shut those ink pads for right now. And I'm going to just kind of chase the water around a little bit. So as it dries, you see how we start to get some of these cool lines in here. It seems to all want to stay on the outside and it's not coming in here. But you get the idea. As you add more layers, you get some cool looks. And so I'm going to let that dry and then we will be die cutting some leaves. All right. And now we'll do kind of a similar technique, but a little bit different with our floral image here. This time, instead of using the wide brush, I'm going to use the narrow. So there's There's the wide, and then we have a medium and a small, or maybe it's large and medium. I don't know. But this is the smallest of the points here for our aqua painter, or water painters rather. Okay, so I've got my water here. I did some water on here, and I'm clearing the water out of the bristles, and I'm painting with just water the inside of this flower. Now, my next colors that I'm going to use a little petunia pop. Give that a squeeze. And I have some melon mambo out as well. Okay. And so, of course, I've kind of let this dry. Get that just wet again. And I'm going to come in here with just a little bit of ink, and I'm going to touch the water with the ink and let the water carry the color. Okay, and as that dries, it will just move around just a little bit. Okay, so I just hit it with just a little bit of petunia pop as well. And what I can do is I've really kind of cleaned out a lot of the water, because there's enough water here on my flower that if I touch this, let me get just a little bit more ink. There it goes. So now it started to carry that color just a little bit more. And let's see if I can get a good spot here for you. But it's a mix of the two colors. It's really pretty. So let's do it. You'll see it a little bit more as we use this larger flower. So I'm not super wet, but wet enough. So I'm filling the entire petal with water. And we'll do these bottom two first. I'm going to grab some ink, and I'm going to touch the petal and see how the water just carries, because all I did was touch it, and the water is carrying it throughout the petal. So let's continue to do that on these other petals as well. You don't want it to be too wet, because then it just doesn't, it's too, you have to find the sweet spot between too wet and too dry. Okay, so here goes a little bit more petunia pop. See how it just carries it? It's just wicking right through the water. I didn't do anything. Just let that dry. Let it be. That's the hardest part of this particular technique, is letting it be for just a minute. Let the water do the work for you. So let's do the same thing with the old olive. I need to squeeze my pad again. Okay, let me move my water to here. Okay, so same drill. I'm going to just very lightly paint with the water. Not too much water and not too little. We'll do these two petals first. Now I'll grab a little bit of the green and just touch the bottom and let the water carry the color. Okay? Just like that. Are you still frozen, Jolinda? Now, for these two tiny petals, I don't want to do much water there. I'm just going to give them just a little spot of green color here. Just because I want them to not blend into the water that's up above. All right, so let's do this petal. Let's clean that, brush a little bit, add some water. And let's just paint this petal. This isn't a petal, this is a leaf. You guys are going, she don't know her leaves from her petals. Gonna let that water carry the color. Maybe carry this one a little further. Sometimes you might have to coax it a little. But what's fun is then as these start to dry, is to come back in and add just a little bit more, so that it's a little bit more intense in one end. See how, I don't know if you can see, but I think you can, how the leaf is really light at the tip and it gets darker as you get towards the base of the leaf. But again, letting that color carry, or the water carry the color. Okay, there are the leaves. And now, I think I'm going to come in here with just a little bit of melon mambo. And I'm just touching into the petunia pop. And so now it's just kind of a cool way of blending color that, it's very organic, I guess is really the best way of saying it. But I am just going to let that be. So if you just let this be, hopefully you guys can see that, and just allow the colors to blend. Let it dry, and if you need to add a little bit more color, you just kind of repeat the process. And you can repeat the process because it's the pressed watercolor paper. I don't know that this reaction is the same on, say, basic white. It's just not going to have the same effect. But here's our cardstock for our leaves. And so here's what you're going to do. I might have to hit this one with I'm going to blot this one just a bit with a heat tool, but I'm afraid the problem is I don't want any of the stuff to come outside of the image. So let's see if we can do that without ruining that. But I need it to be dry enough that I can put it through the Big Shot or the Stamp and Cut Emboss machine. Okay, it really, I think they turn out prettier if you just let them air dry, okay? But I do need one more, so that's why we're cutting it. Okay, so the dies. Let's talk about this. So this is the first time Stampin' Up! Has included a die that actually die cuts an image. So this is an open die for this specific image in the Painted Petals Paper Pumpkin Kit. So really cool that they've done that. When they were first showing this, I thought, what is that supposed to be? I can see it's a flower, but I couldn't tell what this was. Then once I learned it went with an image, I'm like, oh, well, that makes all the sense in the world. Okay, so this is going to be fun. This leaf right in here, we're just going to go right across all this coolness and die cut that leaf. And let's see here. We'll die cut this one as well. Let me just go to my my machine here. It's off to my side. Okay, so here's my magic mat. Yes, I use a magic mat. I love it. I know we don't sell it, but I do love it. I'm going to blot this just because I got to put it through the machine for time's sake. I can add a little bit more detail to it afterwards. Okay, so look at how pretty this is. We'll die cut these two. Okay, hoping things didn't move when I set that down. And we'll run this through. Okay, so let's see. Pretty. We have our flower. I'm slightly off, but call it art. It's okay. Okay, we'll take this off to the side. And what you'd need to do is cut yourself some more leaves. Cut yourself a couple more leaves. And I already have some done ahead of time, just for time's sake, right? So here's my card base. Let's give this a quick score. Again, this is going to be an easy approach to the card base here. No fancy folds or anything. This one is just 5.5 by 8.5, so we're going to score it at 4 1/4. I almost scored it at 5.5. Oops, that would have been wrong. Okay, so it's crumb cake, 8.5, 5.5, score line at 4 1/4. Fold it, burnish it. Okay. And we're just going to kind of have this be a happy, easy card. So we're going to have our panel in there. And I have some flowers already done. Here's the one I just did. And here's another one. But I think what I want to do is on one of these, I am going to come in here and I'm going to cut this leaf off. Okay, so just cut that leaf off. You'll see why in just a second here. We're going to kind of rearrange. We're going to do what I call customizing. I like to customize my images, make them just mine. So we have, well, let's poke the center out of that. We have a full and a full and a partial, and then that leaf. And then I have some leaves over here done already. So I have 1, 2, let's start with 3. I might use a 4th leaf, but let's stamp a greeting on here. And so I'm gonna stamp with the brown stays on so that I'm coordinating back to my floral image. And I'm gonna use this greeting here. I'm so lucky to have you in my life. And I'm gonna do just normal, I'm not gonna do anything fancier. I am stamping this as best I can right in the center of this Countryside Corners label. Okay, so now I have quite a few of the elements that I need for my card front here. Let's put this on dimensionals, most definitely, right? Ta-da! That's gonna go there. And I do have some linen thread. It wouldn't be a Liz card without linen thread and Wink of Stella. All right. I do have moments where I don't use linen thread, but this bow was just sitting on my desk saying, use me up. I need to be included on a card. So here's some linen thread, and let's see how we're going to arrange these. But wait, there's more. We're not going to arrange these just yet. I'm actually going to do some stamping. I'm going to take the floral image here, and we're going to stamp, but I kind of need to dry fit where my pieces are going to go. So I have a floral image that I want to have come up in here, and I'm going to do the partial one is going to come down below. Okay, so I kind of need to know where these are going to be. So I'm just going to put like an X right there, and we'll do an X right here. And those X's kind of tell me where I'm going to stamp the floral image again, so that I have a little bit of background on my crumb cake base here. And so I want the stem, it's going to kind of fall behind the Countryside Corners label. So there's that one. Gosh, this saddle brown stamps nicely on the crumb cake. Woo-wee, that looks good. I like it. Okay, and then I'll do this one just down in here. Okay, I know it's upside down, but that's the way it's gonna go. Now let's use this other piece here, and let's do this one. Although this one, let me get my scratch paper back on hand here. This one I'm going to use, but I'm going to stamp it off. And I'm just going to do just a little bit here and there. It's just going to be, ooh, you can barely see it, but that's okay. I'll bring it up. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got just a hint of texture there. I tried not stamping off too hard. Okay, maybe these you'll see better. There's one there. It's just an added little bit of texture. We'll do another one. Maybe you can see those. Kinda. I can see them. The recipient will see them. I'm gonna do another one kind of right about here. Okay. And let's do some more. This one probably won't even be seen, but it's cool. That one you could see a little bit more. I didn't stamp off quite as hard. So just add some texture here and there. And you can keep this handy, and maybe once we get everything on, maybe we'll add just a few more of those because it's a nice little bit of added texture. It's subtle. Another way we can add a little bit of added texture is we can come in with our old olive. And let's take our water painter, and let's see, it's not super It's not super wet, but let's see what happens if we do. I'm trying to just not have a lot of water because I don't want heavy water spots, but I just want a hint of green, and I'm getting the spots where I don't want them. I want them on the card. Okay, it's just an added little bit of visual texture. Crumb cake already has texture in the paper, but I wanted to add just a little bit more. Okay, let's assemble. Let's start with our label here. And it is intentionally offset to the right, just like that. Okay, and now let's take this one here, put a dimensional behind it. You can see I've stamped the back. It's like, oh, it wasn't quite stamped right in the back, so I had to do it again. There's that. And I am not going to put a dimensional down here on the leaves. And the reason being is I'm going to use this one to tuck down inside, like so. Okay? And then these, we're going to do a leaf in here and a leaf up in here. We'll see kind of how those are going to position. See how we can see a little bit of our stamping there. And then our partial flower right in here. This one's going to come up. I feel like we need to be even higher on this. So hold the waters here, folks. I need to go a little higher, so it means lifting everything, giving it a quick move. The one thing I do, and I kind of push this one down a little bit more, sometimes I try and not put things down when I'm putting my dimensionals down, is don't push them down too tight. Just kind of set them in place. Then that way, if you have to pick up and adjust like I just did, it'll be a lot easier. Okay. These are also big dimensionals for this. Let's see if this one now fits. Now it fits nicely. And it's going to kind of come right in there like so. And I can wiggle this one back into place. Okay. And a leaf here. And then I'm going to do another one right down in here. And I don't want much of that to show, just for balance sake. And then this leaf here, I have it, and it could be that, I'm just trying to decide, do I need some more greenery there? Do I need some more, greenery up in here? I needed to be able to get and wiggle into place there. And so that's why I took that leaf off. Maybe we'll put it right in there. Give it a slightly different angle than that. Okay, I think that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to glue the leaves in. So this one's gluing under. And if you remember, I didn't put anything under here, so it makes it simpler to get into there. There's that one. I think it's a sweet card, Jolinda. And it's totally just using the stamps from the Painted Petals kit. Because what a gift this stamp set is to this, already beautiful kit. But, once you've used your pieces, you can, nicely, use your elements again. So maybe we'll do that one down in there, kind of like that. And we'll tuck this one in pretty tight because I want the leaves to kind of have a different size. I kind of have one out further, and then these two are back a little bit more. Okay, and I think let's bring in that texture stamp. We're going to add just a little bit more texture to things. So ink it up in the saddle brown, gently stamp off, and I think I'm going to do some just kind of right in here. Right, you like that? I have to make sound effects. Okay, that's kind of cool. It's showing up over here. I think I'll do it right in here as well. It's subtle, 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 folks, but it adds to things. Those little things kind of add. I knew I might have to add more. And then my linen thread, I'm actually just going to kind of pop it right on top, right in there. Okay, so let me put a glue dot on it. And in this case, I'm going to put the glue dot right on the knot so that then I can just kind of put it where I want. And I don't have to guess. Okay, where I want it to be. Okay, so right in there. And again, I like to take something fairly firm and just kind of wiggle those fibers into that glue dot to ensure that it stays in place. Okay, so what does it need? It needs some Stella and some gems. So let's finish this up. And I'm just gonna go ahead and wherever I've done watercolor on the flowers, I'm gonna do the flowers and the leaves. And then we'll do just a little bit more here and there. You can also kind of give it a little bang. Let me prime this just a little bit, get it going a little bit. There we go. So see that right there? Now those little speckles are going, which is what I love to see. I love the little hints of Wink of Stella here and there. All right, so now let's just do we're gonna do some sequin actions. We'll hide, I'm kind of in a tucking them. Sometimes I like them to show and sometimes I like to tuck them and hide them a little bit. So we'll just kind of put them here and there. That was a large and a large. And here goes a small. And we'll do one more large. Come here, buddy. We'll do it up in here. Okay, so there's just a little bit of that. I think I'm gonna do one more. One more gem, just because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's break this up right in here. Okay, so now when we kind of wiggle that, all right, so pretty. And then I do have this base ready to go. And so that I will put inside. And I'm so lucky to have you in my life. And then what I think I'd like to do is, I have some extras here. I'm just going to add this right in here. And then another greeting. Let's see. What do we want to put with this one? Friends like you make life beautiful. So we're just going to put that right in here with this. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to do just a little bit of my splatters of Old Olive just to carry that from the front to the inside. And I did that with a aqua painter and a little bit of kind of that splatter knocking technique. I know you can't see it, but when you splatter, there you can get a good look at it. When you do it this way, it's not too juicy. You can see it's not very juicy. And I just splattered it. It's just the little micro splatters. So knock with your bone folder, just like we've been knocking on our Stampin' Blends. Okay, so let's glue this on first. And I'm going to glue it on just because it's already pretty thick paper, so it doesn't need dimensionals. And I'm going to probably be chopping a little bit of it off. Okay, I like it to go off the edge of the paper. That little technique of going off the edge of the paper actually provides gravity rather than having your flowers just floating in space. Okay, there's that. And then let's nestle our greeting right in and amongst the flower there. Okay, and bring the greeting color. This is the same color we've been stamping with, so I'm just going to continue with that color. And just wiggle this, kind of frame it right in with the elements. And let's do a little wink right in here and repeat that from the front. Cool. Pretty, 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 pretty. You love cards using stamps only. Yeah, it's fun. You know, sometimes just to take a step away from designer series paper. Well, and this is, you know, stamps. There are some dies in here, but you could fussy cut. But I agree, it's just kind of nice to step away from all of the color. Not the color, but yeah, color and pattern from a designer series paper and just see the stamping. There it is, folks. So this is a just stamping or stamps kind of card, and it's pretty. And I like how we've kind of carried that look to the inside, but it's light enough that you can sign it. All right, I have, I think I know I have one more, not two more. Let's see. Yeah, one more in here to do. And this card that we're going to make coming up, I'm casing one of my cards from last month's class. So let's pull out all of the elements that we're going to need. This is going to be a fancy fold card, and I have the measurements and things written out for you ahead of time. So, well, let's put it where you can see it. Okay. All right. So this is what we're using on this card. Let's see here. Do you remember the designer series paper that we used on the Melon Mambo and Mossy Meadow card? So we're going to use up some of this. I've already die cut some leaves from some of this paper, okay? So I have myself some leaves. That's from the Every Celebration dies. And I have one of the pieces from the kit. Gosh, that's a pretty one. And I have a large circle here. Any circle, it doesn't matter. What, you know, whether it's Spotlight on Nature, or you use because this is Spotlight on Nature, Everyday Details, or Stylish Shapes. This is 3 1/4 across. So just a big circle. And I'm using those countryside corners dies again. And so what I did, for time's sake, I've done it ahead of time, and I just die cut it. And it's the same size as the last card we just did. I just die cut it right from the envelope. And here's the back side of the envelope. And I'm actually going to glue the two together. That's going to be the first thing we're going to do here. We're going to glue this together just to make this piece just a little bit, give it just a little bit more stability. Okay, I want it to have just a wee bit more, whoops, got to put it on the back side. Okay. That's just going to give us, you know, you could do that with a piece of cardstock, whatever, but you notice that the envelope but that's okay. It just needs enough to be able to stand up with some dimensionals behind it. Okay, so that's ready, that's ready, that's ready. This is another piece of paper from the Meandering Meadows or Meandering Gardens, I don't remember the name. This is the front side. What a great paper. All right, but look how pretty this brown is with this particular card base and everything. I think it's just nice and warm. So we're going to be using this card as well. And I have a couple pieces. Where's my other piece of white? I have 2 pieces of white as well. So we'll go over all of these measurements. But first, let's go over, let me uncover those for you. All right, so the first thing we're going to do for our card is we're going to cut a card base that's going to be 5 1/2 inches tall by 11 inches across. So 5 1/2 by 11. And I have scored it at 2 3/8. Sorry, it goes this way. 2 3/8, 6 1/4, and 9. So let's just actually do it. We're going to pretend to do it. So I'm going to pull the arm out. So this piece is 11 inches wide by 5 1/2 inches tall. My first score line is 2 3/8. So here's 2 3/8. We're scoring there. I'm sliding along to 6 1/4. If you don't know where 6 1/4 is, it's right on the very edge, right there. That's 6 1/4 on your Stampin' Up! Trimmer. So 6 1/4, whoa, that's the cutting blade. And we're going to scroll it down to 9. Okay? So 9 is our last score line. So there you have it. Those are the scores we're going to use for this. And this is how they're going to go. They're going to go forward, okay? And this one's going to go forward, and this one is going to go backward. So you have a valley fold, another valley fold, and then a mountain fold. And so the card actually closes like so. So this flap goes inside and this one goes on the outside. So you have this cool kind of accordion flap. That's how it's going to open. Now, my class last month, I don't have the card here with me, but it was closed with a belly band. This one we're not going to do with a belly band. We're just going to design the front of the card. So let me move this to where you can see it just a little bit better. You might want to take a screenshot. So this is the card size, the card base. We've done that. And we've done our score lines, 2 3/8, 6 1/4, and 9. Now we have some designer series papers to cut and some white. All right, so my white I've already got. Okay, those are done. And those you can see here. We'll kind of hit those a little later on the sizes. Let's work on these that are right here. So screenshot right now if you want to do this card. All right, so we'll kind of move that to there. So the sizes that I'm going to do, so the card front right here, I am going to cut this piece. This is going to be my piece for right in here. And this piece here, we're going to have 2 of them. We need 2 of them. I'm not going to cut them both from this, but I'm going to cut one of them from this. They're going to be 2 1/4 by 5 3/8. So let's cut this. And I want a lot of the flowers. So let me start by just kind of taking that down. Okay, so I want it to be 2 1/4. So there's 2 1/4. I'm going to end up cutting some off. I think I'm going to cut some off both sides. Okay, 2 1/4 inches wide. And now it needs to be 5 3/8 inches tall. I'm going to take off the top because I like the stems. So 5 3/8. All of the lengths of the paper are going to be 5 3/8. Okay, I should say the heights. So this piece is going to layer right in there. It already looks awesome, right? And then my next one that is going to go to the inside, so my inside piece is also going to be 2 1/4. So I'm going to use part of this. I'm going to go 2 1/4 by 5 3/8. Let's just get all these done. Okay. Okay, so that's those 2. So we've hit that first line. Then this next one needs to be 1 7/8 by 5 3/8. So I'm going to continue to use this. I have just enough. 1 7/8 by 5 3/8. And then we have only one more to cut. Now, wait a minute. Now I'm confused. This one should have been brown. I think I have 2. So 1. Yeah. Okay. And then this one here, we're going to do this one at 2 5/8 by 5 3/8. So 2 5/8 by 5 3/8. Okay. I think I have all of my pieces ready to go here. So we have a brown that's going to set. This piece here needs to be just a little bit wider. And then this one will fold back. And this is for one of our orange Calypso coral pieces right in there. And then this one is the flowers. So isn't that a nice, it's a card front. Now this is only 4 inches across, but not to worry, we're going to fix that. And then this piece here is actually going to be on the inside. And then as we open this up, we have our 2 white pieces as well. Okay, so I know that was a lot, but it actually, it'll come together nicely here in just a second. So let's go ahead, and I think I'm gonna do, since we're open, this is the inside, I'm gonna start assembling these. And so the pieces for this card are designed to have just a little bit of a border around them. Okay, so there's that one. Then we have a white. So this is our white piece. We haven't really talked about the white pieces yet, but they are here on my sheet. One of them is 2 5/8 by 5 3/8. And this one here in the middle is 3 3/4 by 5 3/8. So this is the 5 3/4, I'm sorry, the 3 3/4. I was looking at the 5 3/8. And this one is going to just glue right inside there. Okay, and there's just a tiny border around each section. And this section here is also another white. So we've got the calypso and the calypso, and then the white are in the center. Okay. Sometimes what I like to do, in fact, I say sometimes, I do it a lot of times here, folks, is I like to just get my papers glued down, because then I don't have so many pieces hanging out. And so that's kind of why I'm doing it this way. How do you guys like to work? Okay, so there's that. Now we need to do our front pieces, and our front pieces are going to be the brown, that's our added DSP, and then there's our card front from the one that we just kind of cut up and repositioned into a new card, a new look. Okay. So there's that. And I really do enjoy how this brown, brown, you think, oh, do I really want a piece of brown DSP with a pretty floral card? Yes, you do, because it's a nice earthy color. It's organic. It just has a nice, I think I like this little section here. I'm going to turn it around. I just kind of like the speckles on that. Okay. And this one fits right in there like so. Okay, there you have it. So that is our card base. So this isn't, we're not going to do a whole lot of craziness to this, but I'm going to take the circle here, and this circle is only going to attach to the flower side, okay? And so you're going to let it hang over about 1/4 inch. So if I'm here at 8, so I can let it hang over. So I'm just using my grid paper to see how far I can hang over, okay? So I'm just going to flip my circle over and add my glue, just like so. Maybe do just a little bit more, since this is going to be the only part holding it down. And so again, I'll just check to make sure that I haven't gone past that 4 1/4 mark. That way this will still fit in an envelope, okay? So we've picked up our width. That's that only being 4 inches wide. Now we're at a full 4 1/4, so it will fill your envelope nicely. All right, now the flowers are going to just come right onto our circle here. And so these are just going to kind of open with the card. So I think what I'm going to do is put these on with dimensionals, even though we've already got a ton of dimension here. Cindy Howard, you shared. Oh, fabulous. Cindy Howard, if we are not friends on Facebook, I think we are, but if not, we need to become friends so that I can add you. That's the easiest way I can add you to the Backstage Pass. So I will happily do that. Thanks for doing that. I appreciate it big time. Okay, I need some dimensionals to finish this card. So, and I'm going to put them on the flowers here because some of it's going to be hanging off the bottom, but I am totally okay with that kind of a look. I need some piece. I need a piece though here. So let me take this little piece that I just cut and we'll put right there. Okay, flip this over. We'll add it to our circle. However, before I add it to the circle, I want to add just a little something to this circle. And that is, I still have glue on it. I want to try and get rid of it. Oh, good, now it's gone. I have a blending brush here, and I have my Petal Pink ink pad with me. And so I'm going to use that just to give a light haziness to the white. I want to calm it down just a little bit here. So get my brush good and inked up. Bring in my scratch paper here that we've been stamping on and doing some things. Because I'm going to, I always kind of want to knock off that first layer of ink so that I don't have any harsh lines when I add my little bit of haze to my card front or my circle here or wherever I'm adding it. And so this is subtle. And if I want it to show up just a little bit more, once I start kind of offloading some of that ink, I can add a little bit more pressure and switch the direction. And just like that, I've added that haze that you might not see, but I think it's important to have that. It's going to add a little bit of depth, but I'm going to do just a little bit more. So I've added a little bit more ink. Yeah, now it's definitely, it's hazy and it's pretty. There are no harsh lines in it, which is what I'm going for, but the color is there. And so you know what? While we have the brush out, we're going to do it 2 more times. So let's see here. We are going to ink up, offload that harsh line that's right there. And I'm going to do just a little bit in this bottom corner. And I'm going to do some right here in the center of our larger white. Okay. Just adding that. You know, it's like adding the splatters. It gives just a little bit of background to what our elements that we're going to add to it. Okay, so there's that little bit of Petal Pink haze. Okay, now we can kind of close this up and let's start to add our elements. So the front of our card is actually almost done. We're going to take this and we're going to add so that those flowers, the flowers are going to basically sit. And before I tack it down, I can see that right in here, I can put a dimensional there and it's not going to show and it's not going to make it so that the card won't, because if you put dimensionals on this one, then it's going to glue it shut, right? So I can add one more bit of dimensional right there. And that'll help to hold things in place. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping these lines parallel to the rest of the card, but I'm working to frame the flowers inside the circle. So there's that. And then we need to add a greeting here. And so I grabbed a couple pieces from the kit. So I have that piece in here, and I haven't decided if I want to do it up here or if we want to do it down in here. We'll see. Let's stamp it, and then we will have a better idea. I'm going to use the Stays On Brown to kind of pull up the brown that I have in my DSP here. And so this greeting here, this greeting is the one that says, "Let's celebrate you." Okay, we'll stamp this in brown. Just like that. Pretty. I always say it. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Okay, do the same thing we've been doing, kind of taking that cue from the way Stampin' Up! Put the kit together. And that is to add a little glue. I have grandsons in my backyard. I can hear them. This is our last card, and so when I finish, I'll go out and see what they're doing. Go hang with them for a bit today. That'll be fun. Okay, so there's my Let's Celebrate You. We'll put some dimensionals on this. Okay. And then we'll just add a little bit of zhuzh to the inside, and we will be done with a straightforward fancy fold cut. You know, some fancy folds can be very complicated. This one is just, you know, accordions and kind of, you know, it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. Okay. But I'm thinking that I got my greeting a little crooked here, but that's okay. Call it art. And so this, we're going to bring it across, and I can see I'm going to need to Big Mac right there. What do I mean by Big Mac? That means, I guess we've just said it for such a long time. It means we're going to do 2 layers of dimensionals, kind of like a Big Mac has 2 patties, 2 meat patties on it, right? Okay, and so this, we're just going to put this right down. And this dimensional shows, so it's going to go. If it shows, it goes, right? We can't have that. And it did. It was going to show right in there. I'm trying to decide where I want to put this one. I'm trying to decide if I even want that on here. I don't know. I think I might just, I don't know. I'm not quite ready for that. We'll see. Let's see. Maybe I want a bigger greeting. So let me just bring in a couple of the others. So there's this one. I mean, my intention was to say you're simply the best. I was going to actually put here, but maybe we'll put it on the front. Because this is, to me, it's just overpowering, and there's too much of the orange. So let's try this one here. I'm going to bring my color in just so I can see. Sorry for the delay. You know how it goes. You have to kind of try things out. Okay. You're simply the best. I'm not quite sure. Okay. Look, I even have some brown. You know, do we want to do... I definitely like having some different color in there, but maybe, just maybe, we're just going to do it right in there so that we can see that, because I like the color of the leaf, and I felt like it was kind of hiding when I put the greeting over it. Okay, here we go. I like this better, folks. I still see all the florals, yet I do have a greeting here. And I could actually put some linen thread in there. Oh, not with that one. I've got a big, huge knot in my linen thread. Not a good look. Okay, this is way more linen thread than what I need, but it's the end of the spool. Okay, so we'll do this. Give this greeting just a little bit of prominence. Just kind of help show it off a little bit with a little linen thread. Just like so. We'll kind of do that. So now the card opens, and then you can open this way. Okay, so I'm liking where this is going. It does need its little added extra gems and things. And a little wink, obviously. But let's finish the inside quickly. So this piece here, we're going to add this to the inside of the card. So like I said, I'm casing a card that we did last month, one that if you're a member of the Backstage Pass, you will have seen it. If you attended the class, you will know it. But yeah, so I liked the layout, and I said, I'm going to try it again with some more papers and things. So this is just going to kind of come right in here, like so. And then I have my leaves here that I'm going to have just a little bit of leaf action showing. Okay, and then we're going to do a little greeting right down in here. So on the front, we said, "You're simply the best." Okay, and then "Friends like you make life beautiful." And we're going to stamp that right down here in our little spot where we did all of our, well, the balance of our kind of ink blending. There's that. Pretty. Okay, and I'm going to bring in my Old Olive splatter one more time. See if it's still inky, juicy enough, but not too juicy, to just do some of that little micro splattering. Okay, I love it. It's a great little touch. And then a little wink of Stella, and then we'll splatter wink here and here. You know, we can kind of do those up a little bit. So these need a little bit of glue. There's one. And I don't want them to stick out too far because I've got 3 of them, so maybe up there, just a little higher. And then this one will have a little lower. Okay. Turn that, angle it just a little different. Okay. So there's our inside, intended to read, you know, write your greeting here. You know, so you get a little bit of like what I call second card on the inside. It's kind of fun. If you've got the space for more stuff, I say let's show it off. So there's a gem, and let's do another one up in here. And we'll do a small right down there. Okay. So there's this one. That's the inside of this one. And then this one folds up. Let's put some gems on this and some Stella. Okay. Just kind of coloring the centers of those. And let me just use my ink pad to hold it down for just a skosh so that I can give this a good Stella splatter. And it's nice and juicy right now, which is fun. All right, thank you, Kat. Yes, this is the last card for today, so thanks for being here. I'm just going to add some gems here and there. I have these. Just going to kind of tuck and hide some all over. Mainly kind of focusing in on the floral here in the front. Okay, just so that we'll do one, how about right up in there? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do one more. And we'll hide this one. We'll hide it over here. How's that? Yeah, perfect. Whoops. And there you have it. And I haven't glued my linen thread in there, but I will. I will get it glued in and secured down. So there is our kind of an accordion makeup or fold up. That's how that one makes up. Here's that information if you need that again for those measurements. And then we had our stamps only card that we did. We have our beautiful, more graphic Mossy Meadow, Melon Mambo, Granny Apple. And then we started out with some simple ones that were just kind of a riff on what they had given us. We just did a little bit different work with the dimension on that. So there you have today's Upstyle class. Hope you've enjoyed that. I will get these photographed and they'll be posted tomorrow. I will see you again next week in the Backstage Pass. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye.